This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. We should acknowledge at the beginning of the show that this is a period for many of national mourning, and we offer our condolences to the royal family. I know they're a special and unique group, but bereavement is a great leveller. We should acknowledge that. But if the Queen lived by one philosophy, it was the show must go on, and therefore we're joining her in that one. So, morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
I've received two gifts through the post.
Lovely.
How to be a comedian.
Sick burn.
Cheeky.
Open brackets, and smash your first gig.
Was that from David Baddiel?
Close. Well, I don't know, but I've already missed that boat, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
First gig was not good. And the New Comedian's Handbook. Again, singularly inappropriate. If only they hadn't had the word new.
Uh-huh.
But they're written by Louise Stevenson. Do you know Louise? Oh, you know the comics.
I don't know if I do. I might.
Well, it
sometimes I find that I've met people and not remembered their name, especially if I'm about to go on and I'm thinking,
exactly.
which jokes shall I do when I get out there? Shall I talk about that glitter ball that's right in front of the stage or whatever, you know?
Yeah, no, it's not. I never judge anyone pre-show. That's my
That's what I told people.
Yeah. One thing I noted just from flicking through them this morning, one paragraph begins, "The comedy circuit is no place for a fragile ego." I don't think I've ever met a comedian that didn't have a fragile ego, ever in my life. But, you know...
Do you think it's meant to read, is the place for
it's the great showcase for those of us with
It's where those with fragile egos congregate.
Yeah, the dressing room is where 5 people with fragile egos pretend not to have fragile egos.
Yes.
Can you imagine if it was, like I say, like a friend or David who had sent you that, a fellow comic had sent you that book?
Oh, dear.
Is that the David Baddiel alarm? Apparently, if we ever mention his name, the Love Cats by The Cure plays because he loves cats.
Oh, do you know?
That was the deal. That was the deal
He
that we
loves
had.
cat? That was the deal.
Can I just tell our listeners that we've been sitting around in the studio, Al at home, waiting, and Faye and Sarah, who run the show, have had the sort of look of people who know that the house is about to fall down, but they don't want the kids to find out. And they keep saying, "It's fine, everything's fine." And an example of The Cure coming on mid chat. Anything could happen.
Do you know? I love it when Love Cat's on because it reminds me of being at the fair. They always play that. It's very much the fairground theme.
It has got that feeling.
Did you put your elbow on a button? Is that what happened?
No, I did nothing.
Very loose in the studio.
I did nothing. Yeah, I've got my feet up on the desk today. I think that Louise sent us these books because the quote that I think you quoted Sarah Millican last week, Al. That if you have a good gig or a bad gig, you still have to be over it by 11 o'clock the next day. Something I profoundly disagree with. Again,
how long do you like to take?
Well, if it's a brilliant gig, I will squeeze the last bit of toothpaste out of the tube, maybe a week or two on. If it's a bad gig, I like to do at least a fortnight.
Well, you say a fortnight. How long ago was the Brits?
Well, still talking, still pining. And can I give you one more quote, which I found in the book, which sport and comedy don't mix. I can tell you, Louise, I've got a 5-bedroom house. You?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Okay, so yes, I should say, by the way, of Louise Stevenson's How to Be a Comedian and Smash Your First Gig and the Comedian's Handbook, having flicked through, and I only got them about 25 minutes ago, and still found a couple of good comedy-inducing lines. Teach them that, Louise! Hey! Teach them that, love! It's a joke, it's a joke. I actually think from flicking through there's actually quite a lot of good common sense about becoming a stand-up comedian. So if you're thinking about it, I think that these books by Louise Stevenson might take some of the pain out, to be fair.
Really?
She runs comedy workshops in Brighton, I understand. I used to.
If people are if people are considering becoming a stand-up comedian right now, I would question their timing.
Well, at least they've got a natural ramp if they start now. Now they've got to read 2 books for a start off.
Well, never mind the Comedian's Handbook. I would like to recommend the Comedian's Prayer Book.
What a link that was. Hey, Al.
Really good.
We
really
look,
good,
Al, and we look in awe.
It's really slick.
Al, I don't know if you've come across it. It's
I've heard of
by
it.
an author called Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner?
It's
Remember her?
Congratulations and jubilations.
Still the little black tie he had under his shirt when he sang that.
And I'm going... Do you want to wait for my review, Al?
Oh, I'd like to hear it.
What if she really hates it? And then there's just like an awkward atmosphere for the rest of the show.
Do you want to know how many...
Oh, go on, fire it out.
Do you want to know how many stars, Al?
Yeah.
6.
Of course, I don't have a fragile ego. I don't want you to think that for 1 second.
It is absolutely magnificent.
Thank you, Emily.
Those with faith, those without, the agnostics like myself.
Yeah.
Gather all. It's a brilliant piece of writing, and I recommend it to you, Al. I recommend it to everyone.
Oh, okay.
Al doesn't. I didn't even want to mention it was coming out to Al.
Why?
He doesn't.
I'm going to get it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
There you
I
go.
appreciate that. That's very
It's
nice. Can I say I was leaving church on Sunday morning and the priest said, if you want to sell them at the door... I said, no, I don't think I'll be doing that. And then a very nice lady, of a similar age to myself, someone who dressed up for Easter Sunday Mass, which is a dying art.
I love people that do that.
Said to me, would it be a suitable gift for a holy person?
Oh,
Well, what? No one's ever asked me that before. They never asked me that about live at the Apollo. Anyway,
I mean, your previous books might not be.
no, unless they were trying to unholy. But it was very nice. So there's been a bit of bants about it, and you know, I was laughing last week that it was #1 bestseller in the Christian poetry chart, which I thought was not poetry, but I was happy that it was 3 places above Dante. It is also this week, I noticed on Amazon, #1 in the football biography chart. I think Amazon want to have a look at their chart categorization system. I think it's I'm this time I was 3 places above Dante, and in the other chart I'm 3 places above Alan Brazil. that can't. There's something gone wrong with Amazon's categorization. So if you work for Amazon, have a word.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I don't normally eat chocolate. I'm not one of those people.
You're not a chocoholic.
I'm not a chocoholic. I'm not even... If somebody said to me, and this is an unlikely scenario, but if I was held at gunpoint and they said chocolate or crisps, there wouldn't be a second's hesitation. Crisps are the queen of the snacks.
I tell you what puts me off chocolate is the branding. I don't like the idea, or I associate that sort of chocolate. I'm a chocoholic.
Yeah.
It's a bit in the Venn diagram, along with need coffee.
Yes, haven't had my
Garfield,
coffee yet.
and keep calm and drink Prosecco tea towels.
Yes.
God, I'm all of these people. God, I'm so basic.
Well, I had a chocolate shredded wheat nest with chocolate eggs for breakfast.
Chocolate shredded wheat nest?
Yeah, what you do is you mix.
Never heard of such a thing.
Chocolate with shredded wheat it forms a nest-like consistency.
I'll say it does.
And then you put chocolate eggs in it, and you just wait for it to set. And I had it for breakfast, and I thought, you know what, it's actually quite a good way to start the day, from a sort of, kickstart the day.
Did you have milk with it?
No, I didn't have milk with it. There was milk in it, but I just, I mean, let's face it, Cocoa Pops are really chocolate for breakfast, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're chocolate hiding in plain sight, I think it's fair to say. And when you know that you go on your continental holidays, and there's like cake and stuff for breakfast.
Pain au chocolat.
Pain au chocolat, which I've never eaten a pain au chocolat without doing a pig impression first of all, because it looks like the
Nice for the family.
like the severed snout of a pig. A pain au chocolat.
That's good.
Yeah, it's got the. Imagine if it's had a slight nosebleed and there's been some coagulation around the nostrils. You know when a pig's took a real good in the face.
Can we?
Move on 24 hours, and that sort of slightly clotted look around the nostrils.
The problem with the pain au chocolat is the concept transcends the reality. To elaborate, I would say 9 times out of 10, when bitten, the chocolat is still hard.
Oh, yeah. But I like that.
You seem fine with this.
I like this. It's like there's a couple of reinforcing rods going through the sort of croissant. I just like saying pain au chocolat because I don't speak French. Those little tiny morsels of French we have to go ho 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 with. Very, very enjoyable. I'm going to say negligee. There, it's out there. If you're wearing one this morning, God bless you. Better for you than bacon, apparently, for breakfast.
What, negligees?
No, well, probably, yeah, according to Robin Asquith was telling me.
Where do you both stand on pain au raisin?
Oh, I don't think I've ever had
I don't
one.
know what that is.
Well, I think you might be able
Bread
to
with
imagine.
icing. Is that what it is?
The raisin.
Raisins.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's all right. On this show, I have chocolate raisins, and not only have I become addicted, but my sister-in-law found me up the other day holding up an empty packet of chocolate raisins and said, "See what you've done to me." They are phenomenally. I'll tell you something else I was thinking. Do you remember last week I mentioned that people called Aaron or Aaron might want to question their parents about how much effort they put in with the boys' names book.
Yeah.
When they went for that one. I was also thinking about, just like lazy naming. Like
Yeah.
a safe, for example. Somebody came up with the word safe. What should we call this box for keeping things safe? What about a safe? Ha! No, but really. No, I'm serious. Or a fly.
Yeah.
People have not gone
Orange.
Yeah, whoever named Mexico City. So if you can think of any examples of lazy naming, we'd love to hear from you on 8, 12, 15. I'm going to start a collection. Maybe I'll bring out a book of lazy naming I can send to the comedy tutor Louis Stevenson as a sort of a tit for tat.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
You were talking earlier about lazy naming.
Yeah, lazy naming when you just...
Tell you what, he's lit up the switchboard, hasn't he?
Page 1, the safe. Yeah, exactly. Have we got some example?
Oh, loads.
Oh,
and
good
ones too.
We've got all manner of examples. We have the handler, 84. He suggests Green Park.
Very fine.
Meanwhile, Keith Miller puts forth...
Keith Miller, the old Australian cricketer.
Yeah, him.
No, probably not.
No, Keith Miller, the occasional blogger and advocate for the Brussels sprout.
Oh, marvellous.
Okay.
Keith Miller says doghouse.
Yes,
Surely.
yes, okay.
Okay, you can
also-
I
let
have to
that
kind of think about it for a bit. 'Cause I kind of, do people, you're our dog correspondent.
Thank you.
Do dogs still sleep in kennels outside? Does that happen anymore?
Well,
You remember Butch from Tom and Jerry, who
Yeah.
forever dwelleth at the door of his
I think he was
doghouse.
he was a bit of a devil dog though, Butch,
He
wasn't he?
was, yeah. I think he
And a
was.
cartoon, which makes it less problematic.
Yeah, true. Less sensitive to temperature.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. There's only one person that was a cab driver I had once I've encountered whose dog slept outside in the modern era.
Yeah.
And I think he was telling me that to slightly judge me because Ray was wrapped up in a pink blanket at the
Yeah.
time.
And also, surely to emphasise his own no-nonsense approach to life.
Yeah.
He did. He looked in the mirror.
No-nonsense, open brackets, cruelty, close brackets, approach to life.
It was a very cruel moment. I think he was Italian, perhaps. And
Oh, well,
he
it's
looked.
much warmer there as well, you see.
Well, he was Mediterranean, and he looked in the rearview mirror and he said, as he saw me cosseting Ray
Yeah.
in the pink blanket, he just said, "My dogs sleep outside."
Yeah, but he might mean that that it was no longer with us. It
Right.
might-
No, I think it
they're
was his.
very
Gone for a
poetic.
very long sleep.
They're a very poetic race. It's like, Anyway,
Anyway,
We've
sorry,
had some
Al,
more-
you have
we've
some
had some more
examples.
good,
Please, more.
examples of unimaginative naming of things. 859. There is a road up in the Blue Mountains near Sydney called Mega Long Road. And they had, it's really long.
I imagine there's a lot of it in Australia because you can imagine them going very.
They're a direct people, aren't
There is an avenue road near me which is fairly poor. Think about it.
I suspect they have
840.
loads of that, Al. Like great
840.
big flaming line.
Yeah.
Sorry, Al?
840 has texted, only just turned on the radio, so may have covered this, but there's a town in Wales called Welsh Town.
Is there really? That's brilliant.
And Al Dale Neal has said sleeping bag.
Also very fine. Why can't life be like we'd all know what we were doing then? You know, I'm a great champion of the.
And
Then everyone should wear a name badge with their name
Oh,
and
me
profession
too.
on it. That'd be
I
brilliant.
love
Then you
that.
wouldn't have your forgetting names issue, Al.
Jamie Sherrington has suggested fireplace.
Yeah, that's good as well. I like it. Use the word place particularly. Good. Oh, they make me happy. These. Oh, by the way, I had a vegan egg. Speaking of Easter, what about? I had a vegan egg in the shape of an aubergine,
Extraordinary.
and it was a pun. I think that was why it was bought for me because it was a pun. It was called an Easter eggplant.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you see?
I do see.
Yeah, I was very.
I didn't realise, is this a sort of a Big Mo thing, that cream eggs are only available for a brief period throughout the year?
Well, we talked about this last
Yes,
week, and
we
I
did.
thought that used to be. I thought they were seasonal, and then I thought that they then were so popular that they abandoned that and sold them the whole year round. And then someone suggested last year they are now seasonal again.
Alan seemed to be sniggering at the use of seasonal from Frank Skinner.
Yeah,
Gives them a perishable sound that I don't think they have.
I don't like the texture of them personally. It's like a sort of locket.
review.
It's a locket for the well. Do you know what I mean? I don't like that when you bite in and it's all inside.
There's no purchase within them.
Oh, there's no Bruce at all. No, I like something you can. I quite like the vegan aubergine egg. I wouldn't have known if they hadn't have told me. As I think that they said on that programme, there's something about Miriam.
Okay, don't play music.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Can I say on the lazy naming, it struck me that a fridge could have been called, if a safe is a safe, a fridge could have been called a cold, couldn't it?
Yeah.
We need a new cold. That one isn't really. I remember my biology teacher, Mr. Halliwell, used to get very stroppy if we spelt fridge F-R-I-D-G-E. Because that was not an abbreviation, so we had to spell it F-R-I-G. That was his thing, even though no one else in the world spelt it like that.
What a dreadful man.
He was very... he was one of the most beige people I ever met in my life. He found a beigeness where he could walk into a clothes shop, I think, and he would smell beige like some sort of bloodhound. I mean, he accessorised in beige on beige. But I think I was slightly in love with his wife, who was a games teacher there.
Okay, let's put that in a box.
Okay.
Another late review.
Yeah.
Lazy naming. Charles
Yeah.
Dickens has got in touch.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Yeah. For reals, and has suggested picture frame.
Yeah.
Are you with Dickens?
No, I'm with Charles Dickens. He's got a bit less verbose than he
Yeah, he's
used to
much
be.
more direct these days.
We've had 17 continuous texts from Charles Dickens saying picture frame.
Tom.
988
Sorry,
Julie. Sorry,
No,
988
Julie.
Julie. She has texted hairdryer, which I enjoy.
Oh, that, yeah. You know, Julie, whenever I hear the name Julie, our previous producer, Daisy, told us that when she was a child, her and her sister ran an imaginary cab firm. The aspirations of the poor. And an imaginary cab firm called Julie's.
You should know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm still aspiring. And Julie's Cabs, it was called, in which they both were called Julie. That's what I like about it. And the only joy of that for me is I once went in I don't know if it still exists, but there's a restaurant on the road, on the Wolverhampton Road from Birmingham to Wolverhampton, called Jonathan's. And
I don't know if I've been to that one.
I don't think you will have. It was full of Victoriana. Anyway, it had Jonathan's, but without the apostrophe S. And I said to the man, the boss man, it should be an apostrophe. And I saw him warm, and I knew I'd gone wrong, because he was a bloke who couldn't wait to tell me that him and his partner were both called Jonathan. And so it was the plural of Jonathan's was the name of the thing.
He walked right into his trap.
Man.
No, it was one of the greatest childhood games, although I would like to also put forth the childhood game I played with my sister, which was Agents.
We played theatrical agents.
Theatrical agents, and my sister wore a sort of clown's wig for some reason.
Okay.
And sunglasses, because we thought that's what agents would wear, sunglasses indoors.
Yes.
And I don't quite know, we would just use the phone and we'd talk and we'd say, the National Theatre on the 14th? Absolutely not. And slam the phone down.
If somebody said to me, someone you know used to play Agents, well, guess what my first... What about my agent phoned me and said, I heard Graham Norton went well. He said, I missed it, unfortunately. The elephant in the room was Sky Plus, On Demand, Catch Up TV, YouTube.
iPlayer.
Yeah, all piled up, And I let it pass.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Just do what you do to the show.
Al, I'd like to tell you about a lovely walk I had this week. Well, I'd like to tell you as well, Frank, because you don't know the full story.
No, I only saw the beginning and end of it.
I took Buzz for a walk with Raymond this week, Al.
Buzz is my 8-year-old to those
that's
who are
nice.
new to the show.
Well, it wasn't just nice, it was fabulous. It started with a text.
It started with a text. If Hot Chocolate was starting now, that would be the title of one of their songs.
What I liked, it was
Because
very-
it started with a kiss. That's very unlikely, isn't it? I mean, that's opportunism. Opportunism. Anyway,
Bold, isn't it?
sorry.
So I like that. Buzz obviously thought, well, look, I'm meeting her today, so I think I'll reach out to her.
Yeah.
So he sent me a lovely text, and it was a GIF of a rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
A rabbit popping up in front of some eggs to say Happy Easter.
Oh, yes.
Easter.
He loves a meme.
You know,
And it
it's-
said,
you know, it's
"Hiya."
GIF, though.
Oh, no, but that's never going to
Is it
take
GIF
off.
or GIF? I say
Somebody
GIF.
told me it was GIF.
Well, you keep saying GIF and see how that goes down.
GIF, of course, is an Easter thing. The GIF lemon. But
I loved this. So it just said, hiya, Happy Easter. And so I replied out with a video of Ray scratching the sofa. Slightly
Ray's
manically.
Emily's dog,
And
Yeah.
you know, there was a little pause.
not an elderly relative,
No.
who communicates through fabric.
Or Winston. And then Buzz replied. He said, nice video, exclamation mark. And then he said, I never knew dogs use scratch cards as well.
Very, very good.
Did he win anything?
Ah, my boy.
So it started with a joke.
It started with a joke. That's more like it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I made my way out over to Skinner HQ. I'd arranged for the pickup.
5 bedrooms.
I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was like the weekend access parent. I felt like picking Buzz up.
Every parent, no matter how loving, is glad of a break.
Were you glad that I took him out? Was it nice?
it was lovely. Me and Kat sat in the garden and talked. She in about 2 inches of sunblock and a broad-brimmed hat. Kath is like, it's like living with Dracula. Is that she puts so much sunblock. People think I am exhibiting the Northampton clown when we go out for a walk.
It was all lovely, and then I went to pick Buzz up from yours, and then, unfortunately, though, before I arrived, I did have a slight run-in with a white van man.
Did you?
It was a Sunday as well, wasn't it?
It wasn't just any Sunday.
Easter Sunday,
was
they
the
shouldn't
holiest
even
of
be
Sundays.
out.
And it was very busy around Frank's area. There were people vying for spaces. The parking fairy smiled on me. I found one right outside. I thought, great. I pulled up out, you know, your classic parallel.
Yeah.
Pulled up alongside the car, indicated, reversed the car in.
Beautiful. The day Reginald Mole husband got it right.
Well, suddenly a white van speeds up, drives into the space, whilst
No.
my rear's inside the space.
Oh,
Not acceptable.
No, that's awful.
I decided, normally my policy when this sort of thing happens is when they go low, I go lower.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I felt, actually, it was Easter Sunday, I want to rise above it.
So you don't follow the Michelle Obama.
No.
When they go
Oh,
low,
no.
we go high.
Oh, no. I descend
Okay.
right to the basement when they go low.
Okay. She was in a barbershop quartet as a child, so I think that's
Yeah.
where she got that.
Talk about
philosophy.
harmonies.
Yeah.
I thought if he wants that space so much, he can have it. I looked over at the white van man. I saw a bulldog in the passenger seat.
Oh God! Thank God it was in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a tale of the supernatural.
It had a triumphant expression that I didn't altogether like, the bulldog.
Oh, I always think they look slightly apologetic, which would have been apt.
No, this one looked gleeful. He was a gleeful bulldog. And he was staring at me. And there was something humiliating, I'm not going to lie, about the bulldog had taken the space off me.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm sorry, Al, but I'm afraid I did say something.
Okay, I think we'll leave it there. I'm just
Is it
going to make sure
broadcastable?
this is broadcastable. Exactly.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Do you want to know what I said to the man in the white van and the bulldog?
I do.
Al?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
should I say, oh, yes.
Somebody has suggested that it's possibly the Churchill insurance dog.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
sure
like,
other insurance dogs are available.
it's
No, this
just-
one was in the front,
It's
Al.
just a dash ornament.
So the bulldog's staring at me gleefully.
Favourite dash ornaments, 8, 12, 15.
Oh. Box of tissues in a gold case, tissue box case.
Okay.
Taj Mahal shaped.
I bet. So anyway, the bulldog staring at me, the man in the white van. I just thought,
Hula girl.
this is a. You know what? This is a great moment for you. I'm going to let you have it.
Oh, you didn't.
I'm going to let you have it, but I'm not going to go without saying something.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really letting him have it, is it?
It's not remotely letting him
No,
have
no.
it. I buzzed down the window. You see, I noticed I didn't say wound down the window. I wind down the window because we say that, and actually none of us do that these days, unless we're in
No.
a classique car.
That's a good point.
Hmm.
So I took down the window. I looked in. I said, just so you know. I started with just so you know. Of course
Yeah.
he knew. Of course he knew. I said, just so you know, I was driving into that space.
Yeah.
He said, me too.
Okay.
Oh.
I said, see, Al's already on it. Oh. I said, yeah, I was actually just about to go into that space myself. He said, great minds think alike.
Oh, did he?
Oh, I don't like him.
Yeah, speaking as an outsider, I assume.
Do you know what I said? I'm not proud of this. It was a slightly embarrassing thing I said. I don't know. You know when you're a bit angry,
You didn't say
say
get a life, did you?
I think it's in that ballpark.
Okay.
Al, I'm really embarrassed. I feel a bit embarrassed. Can I tell you what I said?
I'm just tense it's not broadcastable.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
It's
She's a
bit,
pro.
I said, what a gentleman. Thank you.
Ooh, zing.
Ah.
That's a good zing, I think. Very good.
It's a bit Lady Bracknell. I
Yeah.
mean, what a
But
gentleman.
did he look at all hurt?
No, the bulldog did, though.
Oh, good. The bulldog raised one paw to his forehead in anguish.
So
Maybe just covered his eyes.
so that was that. Get to the house, wandered off with Buzz. First thing, but it was all great. I thought, I'm not going to let the bulldog and the
No.
white van man, I'm not going to let that, I'm not going to have that sort of cloaked on my shoulders to ruin the harsh
Well,
Armello.
good on you. I'm going against Sarah Millican's rule. If I have an incident like that, I'll carry it for the rest of my life. I can pull up now an incident from 40 years ago that'll still make me feel sad and humiliated.
Yeah.
Well, I started, Buzz helped because he's a very joyful little boy. So we're walking down the road. I said, thanks for sending me that joke. He said, oh, did you like it? He said, you know what I did? I thought of that suddenly. I went upstairs and I thought, actually, I think that would be a really good joke to make.
Yes.
So I had a little
We've
think.
all done it.
He said,
Yeah.
I went downstairs and I thought I was going to send her that. He said, did you like it? I said, it was great.
Excellent.
So we discussed the joke for a while. Then we looked over the other side of the road. White van man and the bulldog are there.
Oh,
Okay.
I said, Buzz, I told him the story quickly. Do you know, he was so good, Al. He said, we'll just walk quickly. We'll just walk quickly away from him.
Okay, so you didn't have
Right.
There was no rematch.
We didn't have an incident.
There was no Thriller in Manila.
But do you know the next thing Buzz said to me, Al, which I loved?
Wouldn't that be a great name for if you got an exciting letter, by the way?
Yeah.
If it arrived in a Manila envelope, I'm gonna write that down.
Do you know what Buzz said to me next,
good.
Al? Which I wasn't expecting. And I absolutely loved. We're walking, we're chatting about music. He said, what music are you into? I said, we both discovered we both like the 80s. We both like Elvis. And then he said, you know Alice Cooper's had the vaccine? I said, sorry? I said, I didn't actually, Buzz. He said, oh, no, he's had the vaccine. He said they both had it. I said, both? He said, yeah, him and my grandma, Sandy Mason. I said, so why are you mentioning them together? And he said, they're both around the same age.
Yeah, same eye makeup. Yeah, he's mad about Alice Cooper. I don't know how that happened, but he's absolutely obsessed with him. It's a funny old world.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So I'm having my walk with Buzz, and we ran into a father and daughter, and they had a cavapoo, and we said hello. Ray went over to say hello to the dog. It's a charming dog. Nice people too, nice humans. And the father, he introduced himself. He said, this is Chloe, my name's Dennis. And Buzz said, the Beano, right?
Huh?
Oh, good reference.
It's perfectly reasonable. I think that's... I mean, the bloke probably wasn't playing word association, but...
And then what I liked is he said, Buzz said, where did you get your dog? He said, oh, she was from Birmingham. And Buzz said, I'm half Birmingham, on my dad's side. And then he said, which I liked, Cheltenham on my mum's side. I like the idea of being half Birmingham on my dad's side.
Also, when you're on Hampstead Heath, it's good to establish a bit of Cheltenham.
I think he might have said Cheltenham, actually. Just to drive at him.
Of course.
We had such a lovely time out, and the fact that we saw White Van Man at the end of the walk having a picnic with the dog and had to run in the other direction didn't mar the day.
That's quite nice that he was having a picnic with the dog.
It didn't Andrew mar the day.
Because you knew he was there, so you could go and slash his tyres on the van.
Yeah, I think that's a bit over the top. Maybe a key just down the side.
It made me warm to the bulldog slightly as well.
Having a picnic with the bulldog. But it's a bit unsavoury. They're not strangers to drool. I think it's fair to say.
I also discovered, we will move on now, but Al, I did discover something strange about Frank.
Oh, yeah?
Go on.
In his garden, I had a look through his garden. He's got a golf club sticking out of the soil.
Yeah, Buzz.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
It's we've buried the wreckage of Tiger Woods' car in the garden, and that's so that we can find it for insurance purposes. It's a long story, but me and Tiger go way back. He came for tea. Unexpectedly, a manic can he eat? But yes, so that's why it's there.
We've also been discussing all sorts of things, but we've had on the go things on the dashboard. Favourite thing on the dashboard. Dan Smith has suggested sun-damaged A to Z.
Oh, God, yeah. And A to Z's, they took dog earring to a whole new level.
Yes.
You could have like 50 pages, all dog-eared, and none of them overlapping the other, so you get a big fat corners on your A to Z.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was told by an optician that was where most people realised their eyesight was going, was trying to read an A to Z in half light in their car. And they found they couldn't read it. Oh, the interesting facts just keep on coming.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I would like to somewhat change the subject, and I'm not suggesting that there's a class divide on this show, but Emily strolling around Hampstead Heath talking about picnics and dog walks. I would like to talk about deep fried food. Which is, I'm not making a joke here, but it is a subject close to my heart.
Yeah, probably very close to your arteries.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
My arteries are furring as we speak.
Well, strap in, because it's going to get
Great.
worse.
It is great,
or better.
though. It's great. I've had deep fried locust, and it still tasted pretty good. And scorpion. There's something about deep frying.
Yeah.
It transforms.
Well,
Okay.
you need to get yourself to West Yorkshire, where a chip shop in Leeds have started doing a deep-fried chip butty, but it's the whole chip butty. You know what I mean by a butty, don't you? I wonder how colloquial that is. Everyone knows that's
I know it.
a bread roll full of chips.
Do you remember when
chip
we were
butty.
doing the show in Edinburgh and we had a bacon butty that had no butter on it?
Oh, yeah, and you were outraged,
I had
weren't
some
you?
debate about whether that could be called a butty.
I've perhaps ramped it up to say you were outraged.
I was outraged in a relative fashion. Certainly, I just thought it was Trade Descriptions Act. I don't know if that still exists. But anyway, yeah, carry on.
Well, what these, I'm going to call them heroes or innovators in Leeds have done is they've put chips into a butty with sauce or gravy or curry sauce and then or mushy peas, and then they deep fry that, the whole thing. They put the whole caboodle in there and deep fry that.
Oh, like the envelope of doom.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
I bet it does.
I love the fact that
Imagine-
there's deep fried things inside a deep fried thing. It's
Yeah,
like a
it's
Russian
like-
doll approach to
Yeah,
food.
Do you know those sort of medieval banquets when there would be a wren inside a chicken inside and all that?
Cockatrice or something. That's what that,
Probably a cockatrice. I don't know what it is, but
I think that's what it's called.
Yes, I think you're right. Courtney Cockatrice, I think, was in the medieval sitcom Friends. Anyway,
This thing is available with chips. You can buy.
can you actually get it with chips, even though
You
there's
can
chips
buy
in
the
it?
deep fried butty with chips. with a side of-
Imagine the texture, though. One can mock these things, and if there's one thing that the newspapers like, it's the term 1,000 calories.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it's
love
Like,
that.
yeah, that's the prize. But imagine, because fried bread has got that fabulous crustiness, and then it's got a sort of softness on it. Because I only fry one side. I don't know about you.
Do you?
I leave the other side clammy.
Oh, I don't have
no,
fried
I flip-
bread.
I
Yeah.
flip it when I
I
do
don't
it.
fry bread.
I leave it like the surface of brie on the B side, and then so you got through that, and then the chips start. Oh man!
Do
it
you
does
fry
sound-
bread, Al?
I don't often, but I'm aware of it as an
Well,
idea.
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of a number
know,
of things
cook
I don't
breakfasts and
indulge
stuff.
in.
I saw a US fast food festival. Now you could imagine
Congratulations.
that's the top end of fast food.
Yeah.
They appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah, for them 1,000 calories is like the footnotes. It's not even.
Exactly. And one of the things that they had was deep.
They're the ombre grande of the dietary world. I
And
believe.
one of the jewel in the crown of the new stuff on show was deep fried butter. That is like just like eating Russian roulette. And I just like it when people say, "Let's start." It's the melted butter. That's what we're after, and the batter. Let's just batter. You can't go wrong.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've just had a contribution to the lazy naming.
Oh yes.
H.E. Barrett, men with the name Guy.
Oh yeah. Very good.
Lovely work, H.E. Barrett.
Well done, Bazza.
We're talking about the...
By the way, I was looking at that article. We're talking about the deep fried. The chips look fantastic in that shop. Worth a drive to Leeds. You know, Elvis used to send his private jet because there was a shop or a place a couple of states away that did a deep fried banana and peanut butter sandwich that he loved so much. He'd send his private jet to go and get them.
Wow.
Ah, top man.
Wasn't it cold by the time it returned?
I don't know if he was that aware of things like temperature.
No, also, that's the beauty of the jumpsuit.
Yeah, well, I think this was pre and
You've got
post.
no exposed areas.
But why
Yeah.
a chip shop? We used to have a chip pan at home and all that, and you can get your oven chips and all this. But
Yeah.
why is it that chip shop chips are always better than anywhere else you get chips from?
It's to
Even
do-
if you go to a posh restaurant, you won't get chips as nice as chip shop chips.
No, you won't.
That's a good point.
I suppose you could say clothes shop clothes tend to be better.
And homemade.
Yeah.
Although I will have to, take issue with you when it comes to fried bread.
Not a fan.
Not just not a fan, I find it quite sickening.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the only place I've seen fried bread, if I'm going to be totally honest, is in a disappointing hotel buffet.
Okay. I'd say
And-
it's certainly. I've stayed in a lot of B&Bs, and
Yeah.
it's a B. I never have a fry up in a B&B because I don't know what they do to a fry ups in B&B, but they seem to render the whole thing two-dimensional. So bacon is not supposed to be flat to the plate like a transfer. It's supposed to have
Yes.
been cooked into a little curvy, crispy
And-
Undulate.
Yeah, exactly. It should undulate. As the sea, it should not be. I suppose it's a very tranquil body of water is what it looks like.
And-
Flat.
The tomato does not need the serrated Flintstonian trouser leg.
No, I don't. I like a serrated half tomato. I
Yeah,
like
but that bread,
because that's when you put the top on, it stops them gliding around like a cog. A fabulous cog. I like to think that if you put a serrated half tomato in front of another one and turned it, the egg and the sausages and everything would turn as well, like a fabulous machine from. Is it Modern? What's the Charlie Chaplin film with all
Modern
that?
Times.
Modern Times, exactly. Thank you. I don't normally work with a prompt, but that was great. Thank you, Al.
Here to help.
Yeah, I just think the concept of the fried bread. Chips are the only thing I will tolerate, but I don't like this toppings business. Gravy and peas or whatever it is.
I like the fact
Curry.
they've taken a let's throw everything in approach to it. I wonder if this chip shop has tried deep frying like the canned drinks and everything. It's, when a friend gets a blowtorch and they just have a go at everything that they could possibly see, I wonder if there's just an element of that to it.
It's like a hastily packed bag, this deep fried sandwich. Reminds me of when Kat's waters broke and we realised we hadn't packed her hospital bag, and I just ran around the house picking up everything that looks soft and putting it in the bag.
Is it a bit like one of the suggestions for lazy name, which is the hold all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, that's good.
Of course they don't.
Hold nothing, more like.
Hold most. That's not how it should be called. It's good though, Holdall. Yeah. Okay, so the thing is with the lazy names, I have to stop and think about it. You have to stand back from a bit because we're too close in many ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be back to the botty. I've got.
Back to the botty.
I'm fascinated. But should we get to Leeds after the
That
show?
sounds
and
like
get
a
one?
terrible album,
I'd love
Back to
that.
the Botty. Oh.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner. I'm with Alan Cochrane and Emily Dean. We're on 81215. If you want to text us, you can just follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show. Why don't you? Via the Absolute Radio website.
Well, Simon F. has emailed the show.
Simon F. Okay.
He has emailed the show, or rather he's tweeted the show. Deep frying, he's used the colon, which is somewhat underused, I find, in punctuation these days.
Yeah.
I heard about a burger in a bun, but I like he's beginning this like a sort of Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
Yeah.
I heard about a burger in a bun.
Alliteration early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually got the tone of a Sir Ozymandias, this. I heard about a burger in a bun, battered and deep fried. Okay? So
Yeah.
imagine that. We've got the burger, you've got your bun. It's battered and deep fried.
Okay.
Then that is put in a bun and that is deep fried.
Okay.
Bread.
An unhealthy food version of fractal geometry.
Oh,
Nicely put.
I don't get that, but I think it sounds...
I'm with. I don't get it, but it sounds clever. I just accept I'm not going to get a fractal geometry joke. But I like the fact that they exist. I agree with Al. My first thought on that was too much bread. I'm not a big fan of. I'll eat a whole fry up and not have any bread at all. I mean, I like the squidgy. It is a weird thing. I'm not questioning evolution before the scientists start sending in, but it is weird that human beings, you would think that instinct has kept us alive all these years, but like salad is a desperately sad and depressing experience, whereas like fried bread, bacon, chip butty with thousand, everything draws you towards that. How have we survived if that is our natural instinct? 12:15.
How have we survived?
Well, we do get quite a lot of scientific types listening to this show.
Oh, we do.
It is a weird thing. You know, when people say, listen to your body and all. If I listened to my body, I would just eat deep fried food. That would be my body's an unreliable source of advice.
Mine's an amusement park.
Mine's a temple. Oh,
Is
no,
it?
that's
I've
other
got-
people.
Yeah. Part of my body is a temple. Just the two bits on the side of my head.
Ryan McCormack.
Oh, I like the sound of Ryan McCormack. He ought to be a handsome leading man in Hollywood.
Yes, he ought to be. He might well be. He has offered for lazy naming washing up liquid.
That's good.
Okay.
It's nice. I like it.
Okay.
275 on the subject of lazy naming texted, I think the animal world is full of these, but my favourite is probably anteater.
Yeah, that's good.
Lovely work.
Someone took the afternoon off with that one, and that's from Harry.
I think, though, isn't it an aardvark colloquially known as an anteater?
Possibly.
Maybe.
I could be wrong.
But it doesn't matter. Anteater is still
No, it's true.
absurdly lazy.
By the way,
If we go back to the chip butty, the thing I like about
You
this
always
story is that when it comes to deep frying food, Scotland has really sort of taken the biscuit, if you will.
Yeah.
In that everyone talks about the deep fried Mars bar.
Yeah.
And then this chip shop in Leeds in West Yorkshire have sort of gone, Scotland, hold my beer. I'm going to show you. And they've put a chip butty into a deep fryer. You think that we've stopped innovating, and then along comes a story like this.
But I seem to remember, most of the chips I ate as a young man, chip shop chips, I ate on the way home. And
Right.
so I was combining eating chips with exercise. A bit the way some people have a treadmill at their desk.
Standing desk, yeah.
So I'm wondering if I was actually walking the calories off as I consume them.
Well, it's a nice
Maybe that's the way
form
forward.
of self-delusion.
I tell you, I used to work. I worked briefly. I worked in a fish and chip shop, and
You didn't.
And the man who ran the fish and chip shop, I remember him coming in with a small bottle. It's a small bottle of vinegar, which he put into this sort of gallon container, and then just topped it up with water, and that was the week's vinegar. It was a sort of Ribena approach.
Did you get to wear the white lab coat?
I know we were backstage.
Oh, were you?
Oh yeah, we weren't out amongst the shiny
Were you
silver.
not client facing?
Not client facing, I'm afraid. That was another part of the deal.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I know I'm showing off with my chip shop connections, but I worked briefly in a backstage in a chip shop. I also knew the daughter of Mr. Cod.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I worked with the daughter of Mr. Cod. I don't know if, are you familiar with Mr. Cod, Emily?
Let me just think. Absolutely not.
Okay, he was in the popular play Goodbye, Mr. Chips. That's who Mr. Chips is saying goodbye to. No, that isn't true.
You know what? Had he been in the popular play Goodbye, Mr. Chips, I would have known him.
Yes.
In fact, he might have featured in our childhood game Agents.
Yes. Well, Mr. Cod was a chain of fish and chip shops. It feels, when you first hear it, like it's a pun. And then when you think about it, it isn't. It's just taken one of the things you get in a chip shop and made it like a man's name. But he was like the founder, and I suspect he still is, and like the CEO of Mr. Cod.
Well, when you say he owned the chip shop.
Well, he owned a string of chip shops.
When you say CEO, are you spelling CSEA?
What does that mean?
C, as in where fish come
Oh,
from.
no.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, CEO is the title of the folk song that the staff had to sing every morning. And we do take our food from the CEO. Oh, the CEO. We get our fish from the CEO. We get our chips from the ground-eo. But the fish comes out of the CEO. Right then, thanks a lot, everyone. And AOB, Alan, no, everything's fine, okay. Little meeting there at Mr. Cod, morning meeting.
Did you get to know Monsieur Cod?
No, I met him at her wedding, I think. Since I had an enormous row with her brother at the wedding.
Well, he's a salty character.
Oh, yes, but she went on
Row.
I think she went on to be... very good. She went on to be a glamping mogul, as I recall. Yeah. I don't want to get into funny names for shops, but whenever I think of a fast food shop, I used to work in Boreham Wood, and there was a Chinese takeaway there called Lots of Rice. And I always felt they were pushing the wrong aspect.
Yeah.
It's like if we called this show Lots of Adverts. No disrespect to our advertisers, obviously, without whom.
Lovely people.
Without whom, etc., etc. Have we had any more alfresco?
We have, actually.
Alfresco Monde.
Yes. We've had, we keep getting these lazy namings through, but
Good.
we've also had Ian Stewart Dootson, who's one of our regulars.
Okay.
Has a correctione for you, Frank.
Okay.
Dear Frank.
Shall I hit the correctione?
Sure.
It's one of our finestly mixed jingles. Correctione, ole, ole, ole. Oh, yes.
So there you go. That's one of the best mixes we've ever done.
So what have I done wrong?
What I like is he says, "Dear Frank, Divine Miss M and Alan." It's a lovely formality to his tweet. I don't mean to make aardvark of this,
Very good.
but these two are not the same. He's then
What, the aardvark and the anteater?
yeah. There's a link he sent called "The 8 Top Differences Between the Aardvark and the Anteater" with pictures.
Okay, well, I think we'll come back to this. I'm keen to know at least a couple.
Okay.
Isn't there a children's song called These Two Are Not the Same? Have I got
One
that?
of these things are not like the others.
Oh, yes.
From Sesame Street.
Oh, well, there you go.
Can you tell which thing is not like the other before me finish me song, is I believe how Cookie Monster like to say it.
Okay, and this was the one that taught children spelling and grammar, is that
Yes.
right? Okay. Who was hosting that week? Tarzan.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were talking earlier, well, you were being corrected earlier, Frank, re the differences between...
Oh, yes, the aardvark and the anteater.
Would you like to know some?
Yeah, just give us a couple of his best, his greatest hits differences.
Aardvark.
Don't eat ants. Is that what it's going to be?
Aardvark, they have teeth.
Oh.
Anteater, no teeth.
Wow.
Okay?
What? That's
Aardvark, muscular tails with no hair.
okay.
Anteater, bushy tails.
Okay. Muscular tails with no hair. Sounds like a book category for the biographies of Yul Brynner and Duncan Goodhue.
And then finally, I'm going to leave you with one, guys. Aardvark, they live in burrows.
Yeah.
Anteater, entirely terrestrial. animals.
Oh, they don't burrow. So
They
it's
don't
quite big
burrow.
difference. To be fair, I thought there were going to be minor differences about, the snout dimension and all that. But in fact, oh, wow. And they look like those things that people drink wine out of on Spanish holidays. They look like you could pick up an aardvark and drink wine out of its nose.
A carafe.
Are they carafe?
Al, they're not
You
carafes.
couldn't pick up a carafe and do that. They're
They're
too tall.
those things. They use them in sort of competitions and things to show they've drunk a lot
So
of
far
wine.
you can get away from your mouth and it's still
It's
going
pathetic.
in. Yeah, well, I like
Al,
the
I don't
contest.
like it. I really don't like people that drink out of those. Just drink.
I think I'm picturing the wrong thing.
It's like, it looks like a cone. It's like a teapot with a cone on it.
There's something very sort of celebratory about it.
Well, it is the continental version of the yard of ale, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, it's drinking as an exhibition rather than as a
If anyone
tremendous
knows what,
comfort and support, which is how I used it.
if anyone knows what those things are called,
They will.
they will. Our readers, they'll have.
Yeah, they'll have probably emptied a few this morning whilst listening to the show.
They've had some Viva off to sunny Spain moments in their life.
Oh, in Union Jack shorts.
Yeah. They've definitely had some fried bread.
He rattled his maracas close to me. In no time I was trembling at the knee. I think it's one of the lyrics of Y Viva España.
I think you'll find it's one of the chapters of my autobiography.
Oh, well. And one of the best, might I say.
Can we discuss?
Page 1 of the Manuel.
Oh.
Very good.
Oh. Can we discuss? I would say, Al, I don't want to ruffle any feathers this week by mentioning the killer cockerel, who's been
I read
wreaking.
about this guy.
Read about him. He's been wreaking havoc. He's a public menace, Al.
And he's called
You are.
Derek Jr.
Derek Jr.
Yeah, you'd think, I don't know if Derek Senior's still around. You think he'd have had a word, wouldn't you? With his headstrong son. Yes, he chases the owner. The owner is called Rebecca.
Rebecca with a K.
Yeah, and he chases her children around in a. I mean, there's footage of it, and it does look like it's out to. Well, she says, I think he'd gouge my eyes out if he could. That's what Rebecca said. No evidence of that at all, I have to say.
No.
Rebecca, I think, has seen too many productions of King Lear.
No.
If I have to guess. But that's it's a wild and crazy and dangerous cockerel.
He's a devil. And
Killer Cockerel, of course, is Alan's cage fighting name. I don't know if you knew that.
but to be driven out of your home by a bird.
Very much so.
We've all been there, lads.
Well, yeah, exactly. You're they're moody.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Because I should just say, Lynn Haig from Shaw near Oldham, we have a local mobile Elvis-themed chip shop named Caught in a Trap.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Very
Well,
nice.
that's good.
I remember my dad had 2 cockerels once, and there was no point in our small garden having 2 cockerels. So he decided that one of them had to go, and he couldn't decide which one. So he put them in the cucumber frame, put the lid down, and let them fight to the death. After about an hour, we went back.
That's a nice story.
Yeah, I haven't finished it. It's a happy ending. It's very my dad's story, I must say. We went back to the cucumber frame, and they were covered in mud and blood, but both alive. And he said, a rare case of sentimentality from my dad, that they had fought so well, they both deserved to live. And
Goodness me.
and so they did. He let them both go.
Yeah.
There you go.
What-
Natural
How
history.
lovely.
Natural history, Smethwick style.
Yeah.
Well, there's a sort of... So there is a
I'm
reign
not
of
sure
terror.
I watched the clip with the right.
What with the chasing the child? It's fast. Really?
Derek Jr.?
Derek Jr.
Yeah.
can move it, I tell you.
She seems to think, Rebecca, that he's showing off in front of his
Showing off
girlfriend.
because he's tired.
No.
Oh,
he's,
yes.
He's showing off in front of Brenda, the hen, who's his girlfriend.
But they've got 10, have they? 20 hens they've got. So the whole idea, isn't it, that they're not monogamous cockerels, that they work the team, as it were.
They've got 10. She said something interesting, Rebecca. She said the group tend to all follow him round, but they're frightened of him. Madonna's dancers.
Yeah.
It's like a gang leader, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it is. He rules with fear. And it seems...
I like that about him.
Yeah, what I don't like is he's heavy on the comb and light on the wattle. Judging on the picture of him, his head was a bit unbalanced in that respect. But, you know, it didn't stop him being ferocious. She has 6 cockerels, 20 hens, 10 ducks, some goats and a dog, Rebecca. It's a sort of Mia Farrow type setup. Just cram them all in, get as many as you can. And there was always going to be, if you have a menagerie, there's always going to be one bad apple.
Oh, thanks a lot. This
Yeah.
is how I find out. The guard, she did say he's they've got a Pomeranian.
Yeah.
And she said Derek Jr., apologies, does fulfill the role of a guard dog. She said, we've got a Pomeranian, but unfortunately our dog's pathetic.
Oh.
I mean, I think that's a disgusting way
harsh.
to talk about
I know
a
that.
dog.
If the dogs heard that. I remember there was a bloke in the paper who's he had a crocodile and a tarantula, and they took the crocodile.
Was his name Dundee?
He lived in a council flat, and they took the crocodile away from him, and he said, I love that crocodile more than anything. I was just thinking, if the tarantula had heard that, so awful, to be the sort of fallback from the crocodile. People need to be more sensitive what they say around animals. That's my motto.
Yeah.
Especially stuff like giddy up. You got to pick your moment. Anyway, I think possibly Sarah Champion's up next, but I usually no. Is it not the end of the show?
We got some more.
Okay.
No.
I was distinctly told there were 2 more links to go. Last time it was a senior moment. This time it was a producer error.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
And we
were
were
discussing
Sorry.
the aggressive cockerel, weren't we? I don't know if you've seen the clip where it's chasing around the 10-year-old. I think I was meant to see more jeopardy in it than I actually saw, because my main takeaway from it was how much land these people have.
Yeah,
I
well,
ended
they
up
need
watching
it
it
with
like
that.
it was location,
I like
location,
Tolstoy.
location.
With that many animals,
Yes,
they definitely need, unless they got a rolling backdrop machine on the farm
Yes.
and a treadmill. The large combed cockerel reminded me of when I drive home. I drive through Camden Town in North London, which is something of a punk enclave,
Yeah.
but not like punks. They're punks. They've sort of become commercialised punks. So they hold little signs that say photo opportunity.
They're sort of media-friendly punks.
Yeah. But they look like proper scary punk with enormous mohawk hair. But you can have your photo took with them if you're a tourist, which seems a bit... I suppose they have a very expensive gel habit. That they have
They used to do it
support.
with soap, of course.
Soap and water, yeah.
But it
And
looks...
sugar water as
There
well.
was a celebrity punk called Matt Belgrano.
Okay. He sang without trace.
Very good.
But it's like, I tell you what it's like. It's like the sort of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show of youth
Yes.
subcultures that you can go
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
your photo took. You can actually do the whole thing, Cam, to make it a theme. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Suede Head Parade. And here they come.
Choose your subculture.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I'd
there's
like-
a big parade every weekend and people go
I'd
to
go
see
up
them.
and say, have you got any emo?
Yeah. Got any boot boys?
No, we've got Teddy's in this week, though.
Oh, yeah, the Teddy boys.
Would you go mods? Al, you'd go mods. I think Al would pick the mods.
Well, we had a debate. Do you remember? We were talking about mods and rockers a couple of weeks ago, and a mod texted in the show and said we never done it. It was the rockers that did it all. Light review, and I watched a documentary this week about mods and rockers, and he was wrong, according to the documentary.
By the way, Bobby C has tweeted us to inform us that the wine receptacle we spoke of is called a porron.
A porron? I would not have
Actually,
got that.
Al, you said again, I think your Spanish, I have, my Spanish is very poor. Could you say it? Your accent was better.
Porron.
A porron, okay.
He said it like Eva Perron.
There's a competition, when they throw it called Eva Perron, in which you Eva Perron.
Goodness sake.
I once met a man who did a unsavoury thing, which happily no longer happens, I believe, a dwarf throwing competition.
Oh.
He was an unsavoury man, and he showed me he was defending it to me, and I was saying it just sounds humiliating and horrible. He said no, it's a good laugh, and he showed me a letter from Margaret Thatcher. He'd written to Margaret Thatcher saying they were trying to close him down from performing this terrible, grotesque pantomime in shows and in the towns. And Margaret Thatcher had written back to him that she always likes to support small businesses. Weirdest episode. Anyway, happily they are, I think, forever gone.
Frank, before we go, Jeff Gorrell, we've made a sauce, it's brown. What should we call it? How about brown sauce?
Good stuff.
Excellent work. What a lovely way to end. Thank you for listening to us this morning. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.